Going off the beaten track to find solutions.
The Toyota 1000 Desert Race represents the halfway mark in the 2007 ABSA Off-Road Championship. The hosts, however, will want to make a statement. Toyota's last production vehicle category win in the blue ribbon event of the National Off-Road Championship came in 1999. Since then, victory has gone to Mitsubishi, Ford and Nissan, with the factory Nissan team this year looking for its 6th victory in a row.
The Toyota brand needs to continue to be involved with the desert race. It really is, as it is with all off-road racing, it's proof how tough a Hilux really is, and how it can compete. And going right back to the early days, the days of Kasi Kutsia, legends, RP Reinecker, we've been able to prove how tough Hilux is in a really serious condition. The race is now known as the Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1,000 kilometer desert race, and it's really a tough and grueling event. I'm told that the event this year is going to be 70% new territory, so the drivers and the vehicles are up to something completely different from what they've been accustomed to in past years, and we know how grueling it's been in the past, and we expect it to be very, very similar to that. But on the other hand, we also hope that most of the vehicles come back without damage, obviously particularly the Toyota vehicles.
But what about international participation? And what has the 2010 Soccer World Cup campaign done for the Championship Series?
As we move towards 2010, Southern Africa is getting more and more attention, and hopefully sometime in the future we'll be able to attract some international competitors to come and compete in this race. Of course, overseas, in Europe, they call this cross-country racing, probably a little bit more environmentally friendly. But for those who don't know, we don't actually destroy the environment. We race on roads, or the drivers race on roads. We spectate in the bush, and we keep an eye on what's going on. So it's not what people think it is, thundering through the bush and breaking things up. And Europe being so environmentally sensitive, and us now also developing the sport in an environmentally friendly way, we believe that we'll be able to get some competitors as Southern Africa becomes more of a tourist destination for sport as well as for general tourism.
There is a new route, but it will still be as exhausting and as tough as ever. That, after all, is what the Toyota Desert 1000 has built its reputation on.
Now we're moving to a new area, and it'll give the people on the other side of Gaborone, out in the bush on the other side of Gaborone, an opportunity to see the spectacle. To see the vehicles racing at the speed that they do cross country is actually quite amazing, especially for someone who hasn't been exposed to racing at all, particularly cross country racing. And we really expect our top 2 drivers to give the Nissans a run for their money this weekend. And well, watch next week, and hopefully people will be able to see the result. We are out to challenge the Nissans this weekend.
And after so many great years of racing, what has the race achieved for Toyota? We wanted to know from Brian.
I think it's been brilliant for Toyota. You know, Toyota really is a dominant player in the Botswana market. So for us to be able to have probably their biggest sporting event other than soccer, in fact, in some instances, people say it's bigger than soccer. For us to be involved in an event like that, where we've got really good Hilux customers and Land Cruiser customers, it's really, really good for us. It gives us brilliant exposure, and it helps us keep the sales rolling in, and that's what we're really in the business for.
And we say, long may it continue. In 1999, RP Reinecker and a young Robin Houghton steamed to victory in their Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Reinecker has gone on to other things, while Houghton is now the foil for the driving antics of Castrol Toyota pilot Bevan Berthold. That was the host's last production car win. The Botswana outing is the 4th round of the ABSA Off-Road Championship and represents the halfway mark in the series. So far this season, all 3 wins have gone to factory Nissan Navara entries, with reigning champions Hannes Grobler and Francois Jordan winning twice, with Duncan Foss and Ralph Pitchford taking the recent Sun City 400. But while Nissan have dominated the season in terms of win, there are indications that an exciting duel in the desert is on the cards. In the super production class, Grobler and Jordan and Foss and Pitchford face a tough test from another factory Nissan Navara in the hands of Norwegian Ivar Tollefson and Britain Quinn Evans, as well as the Navara of local crew Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar in the Century Properties development entry. And both Toyota and Ford will be confident that they can end the Nissan run of wins. Toyota will be represented by 2 Works Castrol Toyota Hilux V6 crews with support from 2 privateers teams in Higo and Jaap de Bruin in the Mickelin Excel Toyota Hilux and Chris Visser with Jaapie Baardnost in the Tyco Trucks Toyota, while Ford will be represented by 2 Ford Racing Ranger factory entries and 2 privateer teams. The Toyota factory pair of Mark Renier and Chris Birkin lie 3rd in the overall championship, and after a good outing at Sun City will fancy their chances in the all-new Castrol Toyota Hilux. Bevan Bertold and Houghton, who will be looking for his 5th Toyota Desert Race win, will also be confident after their recent exploits have shown that Toyota V6s can compete on a level footing with the opposition. The Ford crews will feel the same. 3-time Toyota 1000 Desert Race winners Woolridge and Schulthammer were 2nd at Sun City and will have solid support from Brandon Harkes and Jean Moore in a 2nd factory entry, as well as reigning Class E champs Manfred Schroeder and Ward Huxtable in the Barlow World Absolute Ford Ranger. A new addition to the Ford stable will be Kobus van Tonda and Rian Guapa, who moved from Class E into the SP class. The former Mitsubishi pair have taken over the Ford Ranger, in which Woolridge and Schulthammer won last year's SP class championship and will debut the Unifreight Ford Ranger in Botswana. With the Premier SP class now loaded with potential winners, the ingredients are there for a memorable race. Krobler and Jordan completely dominated last year's event, but it looks unlikely that they will be allowed to do so again this year. Nissan have also dominated Class D this season and will be looking to see the trend continue. Only 1 point separates 3 Nissan drivers, Yuri and Andre Duplessis in the first BB Auto Nissan hardbody, Arnold Duplessis and Johan Knox in the 2nd, and then Kutsiala Beskachny in his Raconics Nissan hardbody at the top of the championship, and that opens the way for a terrific scrap. Also part of that battle will be Henry and Maurice Matten in the Ryobi Nissan, who had a wretched Sun City 400 with gearbox maladies. They'll be looking to put an end to a troubled season, and they certainly have the pedigree to do just that. Harold and Tian Kun in the Landy have performed consistently this season. The pair picked up a solid 3rd place in the Pilansberg in what was their first full season of off-road racing. This will, however, be their first desert race, and it will be an eye-opener for another of the many father and son combinations in off-road racing. But the biggest threat to Nissan is likely to come from Cliff and Louis Weichelt in the Bosel Toyota Hilux. The Weichelts have run into early teething problems with the new vehicle, but are highly experienced, and a clean run in Botswana could see them upset the Nissan apple cart. Surprise Nissan Kluklui winners Ramon Besaidnot and Stefan Locke add to the Toyota challenge. A steep learning curve faces them on their first desert race. The ingredients are also there for a terrific fight in Class E. Here, 5 points separate 4 crews, with Jack Peckham and Lucio Santoro from Ford holding off Young Fisser and Joks Leroux in the Team Barbespun Toyota Hilux. Brian Martin and Oki Fourie in their Castrol Toyota Hilux. And the ever-improving George and Sharon Barkhuizen in the Rokon Toyota Hilux. Fisser and Leroux and the Barkhuizens have scored their wins this season, but consistency has kept Peckham and Santoro at the top of the points log. The Ford pair will be hard-pressed to keep at bay the Toyota hordes, who will be reinforced by the likes of Mark and Stuart Moffat in the Bosel Toyota Hilux, and some interesting tussles are certain to develop. In recent times, Class E crews have come up with top 5 finishes on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. It could indeed happen again this year. With a high-quality SP class entry and all the prestige that goes with the race, this year's Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1000 Desert Race could turn into a classic. And if a little luck runs their way, the Toyota Cup could overflow. With 3 different winners in 3 races so far this season, the special vehicle category in the Toyota Kalahari Botswana 1000 is wide open. Round 4 of the ABSA Off-Road Championship once again provides crews with a test of endurance and reliability. And with tight situations at the top of both the overall and Class A championship, the Desert Race takes on added importance for title hopefuls. The reigning South African champions Alfie Cox and Hini Terstege in the Motorrad Bat Spec 3 went to the top of both overall and class logs with that win of theirs at Sun City, but it's a tenuous lead over Nick and Ryan Harper in the big Atlas Copco Bat, who won in Kluklui, and Motorrad's Evan Hutchison and Achim Bergman, who won the Nissan Dealer 400. and the Motorrad boys can never be written off. All three crews will be among the fancied runners in Botswana, with the Harpers looking for a repeat of their victory last year. As usual, however, there's no shortage of challenges. Shamir Varayawa and Siegfried Rousseau in the Total Motorsport Porter. Then there's Herman Silwalt and Mornay Moller in the Silwalt Transport Zarko. And Naheem Mosaji and Rayan Bodhanya in the Total Motorsport Jimco have all come up with encouraging performances in recent outings. The fledgling Regent Racing squad also saw former SA champ Terence Marsh and Peter Groenewald and Mike Whitehouse, with Dean Langton picking up good results at Sun City. Add to them the likes of Gary Bertolt and Henry Costain in another Atlas Copco Porter. Nardis Alberts and Colin Hunter in the Rapsa Bat. Karl-Heinz Silwalt and Son Quinton in the Silwalt Transport Zarko, and Rob and Gareth Walk in the Superpay Bat. And you have the makings of a first-class battle. Bertolt and Costain were within touching distance of winning last year and would like to get that monkey off their backs for once and for all. The Harpers also demonstrated last season that the Toyota 1000 Desert Race is more often than not won in the last 100 Ks. Sheer pace is not a prerequisite for victory in Botswana, and it's the crew that can combine speed with patience and reliability that will triumph. Class B has been dominated this season by father and son Hendrik and Jan Kraai in the Regent Racing Bat. They have a perfect 3 out of 3 score so far this season, and the rest of the Class B runners will be hoping that they lose their way on the trip up to Gaborone. Johan and Etienne Besaidnout in the Adenko Bat, Bez Besaidnout and Johan de Bruin in the second, Gil Nel and Sandra Lebeskaghni in the Luke 8 Zarko Truggy, and then KwaZulu-Natal crew Marcus Taylor and Derek Keith in the JRE all pose a threat to the Kraai father and son combination. The de Bruin Brits Roacon Bat combination came up with an encouraging third at Sun City, and reigning champions Ernest Corbett and Warwick Goosen in the Century Property Development Bat will want to get their campaign on track after a late start to the season. Once again, though, it's going to boil down to a question of who can best see out the massive distance. On current form, however, the Kraais must be outright favourites to make it 4 in a row. Most of the Class S attention is again going to be focused on the rivalry between current championship leaders Schilling and Davies in the Plastotech Aceco, and Sun City winners Goslar and Carolyn in the Kopanang Hotel Super Team Raceco. Schilling and Carolyn are both former Toyota Desert Race overall winners, so there's not a lot you can teach them about this one. So far this season, they've triumphed twice, and the toughest challenge to the Joburg pair and Goslar and Carolyn is likely to come from Gibson and Whitehurst in the Absolute Aceco, and the Class S duel in the sand could develop into a major feature of the race. The Toyota 1000 Desert Race proved again last year that there's always a sting in the tail. In terms of picking a winner, it's a case of you pay your monies and you take your chances. But make no mistake, the Botswana locals always make this a great stop on the national roster. There will be 1 or 2 surprises as well, though.
We've had approximately 80% of the route is new. It still runs up north, a little bit further north than we have in the past. But the same instances, we've got thick sand, we've got hard ground, we've got rocks, we've got grass, we've got thorns. It's normal desert race route that we have.
And how has one of the longest standing sponsorships been to have on board?
Toyota have been fantastic. We've had their support approximately 26 years, if I can remember correctly. And every year, because the events got bigger and better, we've had more and more support from them. So it's absolutely fantastic.
And as always, there will be bumper-to-bumper racing. But who else has got involved in the event?
Botswana Tourism Board. This year they've put together a huge marketing campaign. They're advertising in the newspapers, on the TV, everywhere that you can think of. They're just marketing this event to such an extent that I don't think any other event can actually compete with it. From their side, the prize giving as well is well attended by a lot of dignitaries from the Tourism Board and within the government as well. So their support has been also fantastic. It's just incredible this year.
And there are probably some amazing statistics that gets totaled up during an event like this.
We've done a quick calculation just on the fuel that'll be used there, and that in total is approximately 750,000 rands worth of fuel that'll be used for the event. There's a lot of things that go into it as well, the border fees, hotels, restaurants, the shops. Everybody seems to benefit from this race. There's no figure that we've actually put towards us, but we just know it's huge.
How far ahead does one start planning such a mammoth race over such a huge distance to be negotiated?
Well, we started early in January with our first meeting. We selected the committee, we nominated our chairman, and then we had our first meeting at the Botswana Tourism Board, where we got a lot of information as to what they would like to have happening this year. And then from there on, it's just snowballs. Closer to the time as we speak now, very little normal work gets done. Everything just focuses on the TDR. And it's a lot of planning between all the commissions, the Motorsport South Africa, Botswana government, the police, the Air Force, the border crossing officials. Everybody's involved with it, and it just involves a hell of a lot of meetings. But it all gets done and all gets sorted, and as we go along, it's in place as we speak now.
And so will we be, to bring you all the racing from the prologue through to the final few meters at the end of 1,000 exacting and grueling kilometers.